Welcome back, disc golf fans, to the 2024 Play It Again Sports Jonesboro Open presented by Westside Discs. In Jonesboro, Arkansas, the disc side of heaven course. Some gusty winds during that front nine. We saw lots of birdies and lots of good putts made. Excited to see what these players have in store for us. I'm Nathan Queen, getting joined by Andrew Fish.
Yeah, no doubt. And the disc side of heaven course has kind of evolved in players' minds from being really long and hard into being a scoring course on a day like this round one where it's swirly winds. Getting off to this hot start, or at least not giving too many back, is critical.
Certainly so. As you saw our players there, 7 down, 6 down, and chasing.
Hole 10, 818 feet, a par 4. We've seen this in the past as hole 18. And now it's in the middle of your round as a potential round ruiner instead of at the end. You can go over top to the right side or throw straight down the middle. Your work is not done after that, as it's just a gauntlet to get all the way up to this green surrounded by out of bounds to the left and right.
Yeah, placing your tee shot in the ideal position is difficult to do, as I think ideal is actually off to the right. There's a little more room and the ground is lower, giving you more space for the flight.
I like this counterclockwise spin as Albert is throwing, and he is trying to evince what you're talking about, getting over to the right side. That might be a little too much to have the clean angle into the green.
Jared getting some right movement on this one, but a little bit too early, is actually going to fight through all things and end up in a really good spot, I think.
Yeah, Spotter got a really good view of that one. Gannon playing the right, or the forehand as well. Does go to the right, but kind of burns out with not much potential to get up there. I take it back. He's in better position than I anticipated.
Yeah, I was going to say for normal human beings. But Gannon able to take it out wide, and looks like, I believe he crept back in bounds there. As Jared with the high hyzer, not quite able to get it all the way there.
You may have heard Gannon and Jared talking and saying that the disc were getting slammed. Swirly wind makes it challenging to get your read and execute, because it could change completely up the fairway or in the time that you're throwing.
Yeah, and I guess if you throw the disc as far as Ben, left side is just fine. He made it past that higher ground that I was talking about. Didn't really have to deal with that small window, and able to put it up there very close. As we see Jared hit from circle 2 again. Go back and watch the front nine, see him do it before. Gannon looking at the left to right flag up there. Doesn't expect that lift he got. We just had 3 birdies on hole 10 there. That's insane. Brings us to hole 11. Sorry, I kind of got lost there with all the birdies. Old hole 1. Got 2 ones on it now. Hole 11, 470 feet. Throw it straight. Read the wind right.
Some of the chatter I heard from the field was how much easier this hole is when you're warmed up, you're feeling it, rather than, stepping off the practice green and then having to go through this full swing.
Yeah, and I would say stats might show that, as this hole does average under par. Farther than you would expect a 470-foot par 3 to go, and we're finally going to see a replay of Albert Tamm's backhand now rather than a forehand.
Slug's a overstable distance driver with a little bit of anhyzer, snaps up mid-flight, and then back to hyzer to finish well inside the circle.
Yeah, Jared trying to follow that same line. Gets it turned over and starts to pack down just a little bit rather than fading back out. Going to be right around circle's edge.
Yeah, that's why I like Albert's overstable flex a little more than the hyzer flip idea.
Oh, and late release with too much turnover from Gannon there. Couldn't really quite tell what he was trying to do, but is going to end up with a par.
Yeah, might have quick pitched the camera guy there. Callaway makes something of an attempt, but is going to have to just drop in a par. Here's Jared from inside circle.
And yeah, not quite able to get that wind read right. Going to end up with a par.
820 feet, par 4 on hole 12. Throw a tee shot through the gap, and that puts you kind of in this valley, looking up at the basket. In between fairway and distance driver, there's out of bounds long. The biggest challenge here is get yourself to a spot where you can throw the second shot.
Yeah, make this gap pushing towards the trees you see straight ahead and hyzer right in front of it, and it should put you in a pretty good position. Albert's done that. He's going to be in attack mode.
Callaway, nice and high, overstable driver, and lets the wind get under it, which is really what he was trying to do. Usually I say that in a negative context, but this is a very helpful wind.
Yeah, definitely so. Letting the wind... See, with the wind like it is, they're able to throw almost as hard as they want to towards that tree I was saying you want a hyzer in front of. And just letting the wind carry it in front of them is going to add some extra distance here.
And much lower shot from Gannon. That works in any wind condition. Runs it up into a fine spot on the left side of the fairway.
Yeah, well executed.
He is going to be first to throw his second shot.
Yeah,
This has high floor, low ceiling, and a lot of distance to cover.
Maybe around that 400-foot mark with elevation, so probably playing closer to 450 or so to get all the way there.
Yeah, as you watch these videos, note that there are some stakes. That red striped one is 250 feet. And then further back on the fairway, there's a 500 marker. Going to see that consistently on all the par 4s and 5s out here at Disc Side of Heaven.
As we saw another beautiful backhand shot from Jared, going to give himself a birdie here. Albert getting it a bit too turned over and didn't get the carry with the right to left wind.
Ben might have chosen mid there and immediately was hollering at it to go.
And not a bad par here on hole 12, but with the drive that Albert had, I'm sure he wanted to be a little closer for his birdie attempt.
Buhr continues to be a little bit out of sorts. Callaway misses his putt low with the tailwind.
Beth at 69.
I just told myself, you just got to will this one in there. Whatever you have, just will it in there.
This man is unbelievable. This is what athletes live for. This is the moment.
Got a good thing coming, and it's all I need. Everything I wanted is in front of me. It's a good.
Moves us to hole 13, 435-foot par 3. Bit of a valley in the middle that dips down. Straightforward shots. You've got OB all the way down the left side and these branches hanging low that really keep it from being a one angle shot with the forehand. So I believe backhand is going to play best, although it does skip you towards that OB on the left side. A little bit more room to shape the shot that way.
Definitely. In my experience, it's pretty rare that players actually end up past the barbed wire fence out of bounds. But still, I like this idea from Albert to move the disc to the right early in the flight so that he's got plenty of room to deal with as the crosswind carries it back.
Yeah, ends up inside circle one. It's kind of the way the ground moves here. If you don't get the disc high enough, it's easy for it to get drugged down into that valley and end up short. I like the height that Ben put on that. Also going to be inside circle one.
Yeah, being able to throw a full swing with a fairway driver, as Callaway did, is pretty key, rather than having to manipulate a distance driver and slow it down a little bit. Here's Gannon. Needs it to get up and scooch.
Yeah, got a little bit of turnover on that. Got a little bit, the top flight plate showing to the right, and that right to left wind just packed it down, not allowing it to get pushed to the left.
Looks pretty calm for this circle two look. And Gannon takes advantage, gets himself to 2 under.
Yeah, first birdie in a bit. I'm sure it's going to make him feel good, trying to get string together a few more birdies.
Good looking stroke from Albert. And you see that 1 next to his name as he has 9 down.
And now going to be in the lead on the card after another short miss from Ben.
Hole 14, 855 feet, a par 5. Plays fairly soft as par 5s go. The tee shot isn't much to speak of. The second shot is where it gets critical because you have the choice of trying to carry over the water on your second or play a layup shot to a pretty delicate and small landing zone.
This will be in play for our hole.
And big distance there, going to push him a little bit too far left. Kind of looking at a different green, maybe possibly going over another hole's green there.
And Gannon, kind of the same thing. You see him take a couple extra steps in that run up for some more giddy up. Here's Jared playing hyzer flip. Doesn't quite get it up to flat, so he's also going to run off to the left side. Still perfectly credible.
Yeah, not quite as much distance on that one, so he's less pinched off, I believe, in hyzering down before that pond.
And Ben Callaway, good height, good push. And I think I like that one the most, but I still don't know what kind of window he's going to have to throw through.
Yeah, I think he could have done without that skip and little roll to the left. Jared wants nothing to do with that layup I was talking about. Going to show us that overhand power again.
Wow.
And just,
What a shot.
wow.
I like hearing the reaction from the card mates who are still impressed by that. There's a big gap in the sky. As you called, Albert trying to go over the next green and comes up short on the carry, so he'll have to proceed to the drop zone throwing 4.
Yeah, and Ben was going for a layup play there. I believe as long as he pushed far enough past those branches, he'll still be in a decent spot to try to get to the green from where he's at. Gannon going to go big turnover shot. Needs this to pan out once it gets around everything. And gonna see a red flag.
Callaway's third. And good penetrating shot. Gets him up there on the long side, which is pretty common. That's why throwing the layup is, we'll say, avoided whenever possible by most players.
Yeah, as this drop zone shot kind of shows you, you have a straight look at the basket, but very skinny, and if you hit something, you could roll back OB. So these players still electing to go over top, which does make it a little harder to put it close, but still possible as long as you've got good distance control.
And 3 holes in a row, Callaway coming up short on his putt.
Jared with the eagle look. Gonna card the birdie, but just fine here, as this hole did average a 4.9. So eagle opportunities, but still right there at that 5. moves us into hole 15. What we just saw Albert throw over top of, a bit of a change in flow here, as we mentioned during the first 9. Island hole, 315 feet. This is carrying a bit too far right. Gonna be heading to the drop zone for Jared Stoll.
This hole is both so simple and so hard. A lot of disc options, as well as conditionals you have to play depending on what the wind is doing. Albert, plenty of width, but too much. Also is going to have to go to that drop zone.
Yeah, and who knows how much disc stability had a play in those two different shots, but you saw one get pushed right and then the other one kind of stand up and get pushed left. And Gannon, too much power, going to find some OB. Wow, as you stated, this hole's so simple yet so hard. Ben Callaway trying to salvage the group and be in bounds. He's done so.
Yeah, well measured. We're going to watch it one more time. Just kind of a one-angle shot. The tailwind helps push it a little bit. And now from this drop zone, critical to get yourself up there real close. Make the putt in a formality instead of something you actually have to work hard on.
Yeah, ideally you'd like to have one drive and no putt on this hole. So to have to throw from the drop zone, you definitely don't want another putt. Gannon hurries on to it.
We'll go on to hole 16, 675 feet, a par 4. Tee shot, you're kind of throwing up as far as you can into this grass, and then the green protected relatively well so that a counterclockwise shot is the best way to get in cleanly. However, it's pretty common for players to try to play a backdoor with a backhand also.
Yeah, and I believe they've added some OB up to the left side later on this fairway, causing the right side to be a better play, really, off of the tee.
Good shot from Ben, and good shot from Jared. I feel like you can't birdie this hole on the tee shot. You just have to put yourself out there in an okay spot and ensure that you have a clean stance to throw your second.
Yeah, this one's been pulled off to the right a little. But it still looks like it should be in a decent spot. Maybe be able to go with that smooth, powerful forehand that Albert has now. What?
So everybody in decent shape. Jared is going to play the forehand to try to get through with a left to right shot, but doesn't give it the pop. Comes up short in circle 2.
Gannon gonna skip up through those trees, should put himself inside circle 1. Callaway also gonna go forehand out around those trees. Gets a nice skip, gonna card himself back-to-back birdies.
Everybody's elite distance off the tee enables these forehands to be very favorable. And Jared catches a lot of chains on the right side, but splashes out.
And after catching the last tree on the approach shot, Albert's still able to connect for his birdie. Nice bounce back after the bogey on 16.
Gannon with a good stick.
Yeah, gonna bounce back nicely as well. Brings us into hole 17, 660 foot par 4. You got OB all the way down the right side now, as well as late left side and back behind the basket. If you can get underneath this original branch here, Ben just sneaking underneath it, gonna be in a good position. That's all you really need off the tee.
Albert, you can tell his idea in his head was keep it low. He kind of overdid that a little bit, but as noted earlier, that's a 250 red stripe stake, so Albert's still only about 330 or so.
Yeah, although he kept it low, he still got some pretty good ground play. And Gannon plays something pretty overstable here with some flex. Jumps up to the left side, but shouldn't be any issue over there either. Should be a hyzer into the green.
Yeah, I kind of like that. Not trying to be too aggressive, not bringing out of bounds into play, ensuring that he can just throw a one angle hyzer in.
Yeah, Ben being a little farther right is going to have to throw straight or maybe a little turnover here.
This basket is elevated. The green is fairly tight, so you don't want to bring too much speed in.
Yeah, and that shows you, or Ben shows you there, difficult to really commit to this green with the OB left and long. Going to come up a bit short. Jared coming up a bit shorter.
Much simpler approach available for Albert. However, he kind of fluffs it. Going to be out there near circle's edge.
Yeah, using that one angle we were talking about. Gannon also able to do that. Looks like he has drugged this far enough right where he's not going to end up short left and pretty much on the bullseye. Great shot there from Gannon.
Smart layup from Jared. Albert says, no thanks. I've got a good round going. No reason to compromise that here in round one.
Oh, and Ben, after back-to-back birdies, gonna end up bit of an air ball there off to the right and find the OB long. Now has a tester comeback putt for bogey.
He does knock this down to limit the damage to just that single bogey stroke. And that's going to move us on to hole 18, 495 downhill. It's probably good that I'm the one doing the whole preview here. Here's the layup option, as well as the ability to throw a backhand finishing shot with either a flex or something wide hyzer.
He does mean righty backhand there.
Yes. I'm sorry for the default implication. Gannon gets a little bit tangled up in the little stream carry, but gets onto the green for a birdie look.
And Albert, with the most proficient forehand we've seen all round long, going to turn to the backhand here. Also tons of power and very proficient. As you see the tons of power, shooting it well into circle 2 long of the pin. I'm not sure that's a comeback putt you like to run.
No, but he at least got it across, gives himself the chance to decide. Jared, kind of up the middle instead. Level with the basket at 40 feet or so.
Yeah, not something you see hitting that gap up the middle too often. More of a runnable putt there, but still a bit on the scarier side.
Callaway with the full swing. And everybody filtering through onto the good side of the green.
Yeah, not something you see very often.
Albert didn't want to test hole 17. He will run at 18. Unfortunately, splashes out and going to take a par. And Ben Callaway off the band.
Yeah, nice run there. Left a little bit to be desired on that round, but still solid at 9 under par. Jared also just a little bit off on that putt. And Gannon, after a couple bogeys, gonna finish his round with 3 birdies, as he normally does. Bounces back nicely, gonna end up 4 under on the round.
Yeah, a mini charge to bring him back to respectability. Everybody else going to card a par. And you see that 9 down is good enough to be in a tie for third place. We'll see how PDGA numbers shake out to see which card they will be on for round 2.
Yeah, and I'm looking forward to seeing round 2 and see if the front 9 plays is that much easier than the back 9, as we saw today with some hot scores on the front and then not anything terrible on the back, but a bit of stumble compared to what we saw on the front 9.
Couple of 11 downs out there, but it looks like we're going to see Ben Callaway, Calvin Heimberg, Albert Tamm, and Jakub Semerad. More power, more interesting decisions in round 2 here at the Jonesboro Disc Side of Heaven course. We hope you'll join us on Gatekeeper Media's coverage of Chase Card for the Disc Golf Pro Tour all season long for 2024. For Nathan Queen, I'm Andrew Fish.
We'll see you guys out there.